GVN presents Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. Today's binge:
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A Trout in the Milk.
And now, a public service announcement from GVN's Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. Have you seen this man? His name is Leopold Fitz. Where is he? He was last seen season 6, August 2nd, 2019, along with these two individuals, Gemma Simmons and Enoch. If you've seen Leopold Fitz, call me! Now! Here at Kathy and Martin's Coffee Binge, you might tell Gemma and Deke I know what's going on around here. Now back to our show.
So obviously, judging from our public service announcement, we've got more free time than we know what to do with. Welcome once again to Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. I'm Martin.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're here once again to entertain you with our thrice daily swill. So just like we start out every podcast, I let my lovely wife talk about whatever she wants to talk about, and she usually has plenty. So the floor is yours, my dear.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. And we know that I have plenty to talk about all the time. So let's talk about two things.
Okay.
Thing number one is we have been very excited because we really are enjoying our podcast. And so we've decided we were going to get some mugs made. Okay.
Well, we are the Coffee Binge, so that makes sense.
Well, so they're coffee mugs that we have decided to try to print. So Martin's saying, well, let's get some mugs and print them. Okay, that's a great idea, honey. Let's go looking on the internet. And well, of course, everything is a $50 setup charge.
I know that's totally outrageous.
And,
I just won't pay it.
One mug for $30 or
Unless
whatever.
you buy them in massive bulk.
Right. And or you can't, but you can get some small imprints. So I found one that was really reasonable. So I decided to go ahead and check it out and see what it was all about. So Martin sends me the logo on via email. So I then put it on the mug. And Martin, I said, here, look at this, Martin. He said, well, I don't know what it looks like on the mug. I'm like, really? It's going to cost us $12. I think we should try and look at it.
Well,
instead of the $58 it costs for just to set it up at most of the other places.
I don't like buying things sight unseen.
So bought me sight unseen, dude.
That's not true. I tried you out a while.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I gave you a expansive test run. Marketing and everything. You passed, just barely.
I don't think that you did, but okay.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway.
So we haven't ordered these cups though, right?
Yeah, I've already ordered.
You did?
Yeah, 600.
600 what?
600. They'll be here in a day or two. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I did not order them yet.
I mean, it would surprise me that you ordered them. I thought 600.
Well, I tell you what, I was just going to do it just because I was like,
well, it's like, I just want to, all I want, see, well, again.
Except it's going to take like seven years to get here. Here, we're just going to use this as going to be our mug. This is something that our son drew in 2012.
It's pretty.
And yeah, it is.
But you didn't cost them a bunch of money to do that.
I would tell you what this is all about. Is just, as you can see, there's a little old lady on the set. Oh, well, I can't do it. This is back. Here's another problem I got today.
Okay, let's talk about this.
This is backwards. This is backwards.
Stop pounding on the table.
I can't help it. This is backwards. And it's messing me up because I'm really on this side and you're on that side. And I hate it because it's messing me up. And we're flipped around. And the only reason we're doing this is because why? Because you got to wear this shirt.
Well, hey,
because
don't mess with Roger Staubach's jersey. It's decade appropriate.
Anyway, Lord help me.
Listen, if I switch it around the way they want to do it, then I'm Ezekiel Elliott. I'm 21. And that's just the wrong decade.
Anyway, this is what I deal with every day.
Which is why you're
That's
such a happy person.
That's why
You
I
are.
love so much. Anyway, but so, okay, now look at this. This is, see, I'm trying to move this, but I can't tell because never
it's totally
mind.
the
This
opposite.
is stupid.
Just messing with your
I
brain.
hate it. Okay.
I mean, it's,
All right, well, and listen, I'll get over it in a minute. But anyway, the whole point I'm trying to make here is there's lots of points. Points are you are very picky about a lot of stuff.
Well, yes, I am.
and
I'm very.
and I appreciate that because
Details are important.
I'm a picky too. I'm a picky person
Yeah,
in a
which is
different kind of way.
kind of surprising that you would
well,
have a
because
problem with that.
there's certain things I know that you can't be but so picky about. But
Am I one of those
what?
that you can't be so picky about? Oh, okay. Just testing you there. You almost failed. It was almost horrible.
No, I love you so much. All right. Well, anyway, let's talk about this
episode of Agents of Shield.
And I have not seen Fitz yet, as you can tell by my public service announcement.
Yeah. So then we put it out there. So we'll let you know when they see him, and actually you'll probably know before they do, since we'll actually probably watch whatever episode that is.
I'm kind of getting a little bit nervous. We're just about halfway through this.
Yes, come next episode, it will be episode 6. Will be halfway through.
I think he's in that picture. We got lots to talk about. Let's go.
Okay, so when we last left Agents of Shield, they had arrived in the 70s. Now they didn't know why they arrived, what they were doing in the 70s.
Right.
They just knew they were there. So of course, especially Daisy and Coulson, they live for dressing up in whatever period clothing there is, and everyone is quite as giddy about it as they are, including Sousa.
Right.
Who she sent him into a clothing shop to get dressed, and he just came back out looking exactly the same way he did when he went in.
That's correct.
Mainly, so what were they trying to put him in?
Bell bottoms.
Bell bottoms, right? He didn't. Elephant liked bell bottoms apparently because he said he didn't understand what all that extra cloth was.
I didn't know that there was a difference between what kind of. Maybe I did know that, but I don't remember it because I was like 9 in the 70s. All right. So,
oh, you come on! You never wore elephant like bell bottoms?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Maybe I did.
And I know I did because, like I said, that I used to wear them. I lived in Michigan at the time, and I wore them out in the snow, and that snow would build up underneath the legs of those elephant-like bell bottoms. Yeah. It was like you were wearing like 20-pound weights at each ankle.
Yeah, I can remember that.
But I thought I looked cool, though, back then.
I bet that.
I think I still have a pair. I'm pretty sure.
Fairly certain that was probably in the 80s, and you probably had they were corduroy bell bottoms.
No, they wasn't. Like oh no, ma'am, no corduroy bell. That was. I did have corduroy clothes, but that wasn't bell.
No. Yeah.
So, and speaking of Sousa and Inver Jokai,
yes,
I pretty much pegged him as my performer of the week for this episode because I thought he really did a good job of basically expressing the frustration he had of. Basically,
it was the first time he was expressing some frustration,
right? Because the rest of the time he was letting it roll off his back, like the proverbial water on a duck,
and kind of like Daisy said, "Sorry, I was having a what the hell's her name moment."
Anyway, I have those all the time, so it's fine.
And I was gonna call her Agent Johnson, and then I was gonna
that would have worked.
Then I was gonna call her Sky, and then
that would have worked too.
Anyway, everybody knows
many aliases.
Yeah. So anyway, Daisy was saying, "I'm surprised he hasn't been puking all over the place."
Yeah, she thought he wasn't projectile puking.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and actually, he did fine up until the point where they made that unscheduled jump.
Then he was like, "What?"
Right, and again, all they had to tell him was, "We have no control of it. We go wherever the chronocoms go. So when they jump, we jump. That's it. If you have a problem with that, go talk to the chronocoms because that's how this works."
I'm gonna go with don't go talk to the chronocoms. I'm thinking that you
they didn't really want to talk to him
either
anyway.
that or just stay on the plane and don't.
Well, and they gave him that option, but he said no. He was going to.
Right.
So he was there now, so I'm going to embrace the 70s.
Okay.
At least right after the guy with the short shorts and skates went by.
That was great.
Okay.
That was a perfect homage.
Okay. Also, I gave kind of like a
nod.
Yeah, nod. Yes, a nod. Yes, a nod. I love Joel Stouffer as Enoch. And of course,
great.
Right? And they showed of course, they showed the line when he pulled up in the car and said, "Come with me if you want to continue to exist."
Right.
But I liked even better his line when. Of course, number one, he brought up the fact that they had left him for 40 years. The man, for a 30,000-year-old robot, he cries an awful lot about 40 years. But I guess trying to make him feel better, he said, "Hey, thanks for the ride. No, thanks for the hit. What was it? Sorry for leaving you behind. Thanks for the lift and sweet ride."
Yes.
He says, "Thank you. It was a Consumer Reports top safety pick or something like that, and was rated top in fuel mileage, which, considering the type of car back then, I think you looked it up. It was like 14 miles to the gallon. So if that's the top gas mileage you get back then. Of course, then he hammered on the gas, and I bet you that gas gauge just went.
Yeah, no kidding. And then it was 3 miles to the gallon. And it was absolutely fantastic. But what kind of power was he getting behind that?
Well, he obviously was getting pretty good because at least the way he jerked back when he hit the accelerator.
It was funny.
And of course, many fans commented by the fact that there were skid marks on the road where he pulled up before he got there.
Well,
which, I mean, if you ever watched any 70s talk shows, they're all, because they did test runs before they actually got there. So
they rehearsed it.
Right, so that wasn't surprising that you had.
We're going to do this here, but we're not going to. They had no way to edit out this.
No, especially not back then, which is probably why I mean, shows nowadays, they know how to take care of that kind of problem, but they left it, I'm sure, on purpose because of that thing. Also, a nod to May Na Wing and
May.
Now, this is May Na. Of course, they were at a bar and she was touching people and apparently getting intoxicated just by touching the drunk people. It was the first person I'd ever seen that got drunk faster than you did.
Oh, well, thank you, dear.
Right. So, I mean, well, at least it takes you one.
The sad thing about that is I'm not a small girl. I'm a big girl. And I am such a lightweight. It's so sad.
So at least you actually get one drink in before you start feeling the effects. She was just touching people and started to trip over herself.
That's almost how I get.
But
as I was kicked out of a bar once in 1990.
Can you capsulize the story real quick? Because I still think this is funny.
It's not funny. It was very terrible. But anyway, it's funny now because it was a long time ago. But
Reader's Digest version.
Yes. Basically, I went to a training and orientation for the new job I had in Texas. We were at a hotel and we were there for a week, and the very first night was a basically meet and greet of all the people that were there. And I was at, we went to like a almost like a mixer, and then everybody went to the bar. Well, the mixer, they had beer and stuff, but I didn't drink anything because I already know how I get, because I get goofy when I'm drunk, and I'm thinking I'm around a bunch of all these corporate people. I do not need to act like an ass around people I don't even know yet. So went to the mixer, didn't drink anything, had water, went to the bar, and was laughing and talking to a bunch of people, having a good time.
Pretty much your normal.
Right. And I wasn't drinking anything because I didn't need anything to drink. I was going to wait until towards the end of the evening and then maybe have one drink and then go to my room and go to sleep. And I figured I wouldn't cause so much trouble that way. So I waited towards the end, and I finally said, I'd like to have the bartender asked me, I said, what would you, of course, the bartender had been asking me the whole time if I wanted something. I said, no, thank you. I'm good right now. And so anyway, when I finally decided I was going to get something to drink, she said, no, I'm sorry. You can't have anything. You've had enough. I was like, I've had enough. I had zero. I've had nothing to drink. And she was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't serve you. And I don't know if she was being a smart aleck because I had kept up that stool the whole night and was just talking to other people, or if it was because she was just, I don't know.
Was she the bartender from the very start?
Yeah, she knew I was there the whole time.
Okay, so
it just kind of amazed me. I was like, what was that all about? So anyway, I was really pissed off. So I was like, this is ridiculous. So I was the people I was talking to, they go, what is wrong with her? And so they were like, now people are freaking falling on the ground drunk in there that are part of this group. And when I say that, I am not even in the least bit making that up. They were actually.
So you're not exaggerating when you say that.
No, not at all. Falling on the ground, staggering around like a bunch of drunken sailors. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is your first time in port. I don't know. But everyone was smashed out of their minds. I'm the only one who was not drunk in the whole damn place. And I'm thinking, what the hell?
So they offered to buy you a drink for you?
No, not that night. And I the next day I went, that when we finished all our training stuff and everybody was at the bar, I told the manager what I said I would never buy a drink in this bar for all the tea in China, because the very first night I tried to have a drink in here, and I was told I couldn't have one because I was drunk, or that I was drunk, but that I had had enough.
Yeah, you had enough,
and I had enough of them, but that was about it. Anyway, stupid story, dumb thing, but that's what happened, and I'll never forget it. It was ridiculous, and I won't forget it because I wasn't drunk.
So anyway, so all that was related back to May and her situation.
Yes,
just in
and
case we forgot what that was about.
I felt her drunkenness.
Okay, so also in the episode, we get our first glimpse of that Gemma is having an issue.
Yeah, she's got some predator marks on the back of her neck. Don't know what that was about, but A.
Okay, so what was your first sign that she was having an issue?
Me?
Yeah, I mean, what happened right off that kind of told you that something was wrong?
In this episode?
Yes, in this episode. Remember, Deke came in from working out in the bag.
Oh, she was.
And he asked her about who?
He asked her about Fitz, and she.
What did he call her?
He called her. First, he called her Bobo.
He called him Bobo because that's what Fitz told him to call him.
Right.
Which, God forbid, why he told him that. But anyway, but Gemma acted like she didn't know what he was talking about.
Exactly, and that kind of made me go, "What the hell?" And then she was like. And then she said, "Grandpappy," or Papa, or whatever.
Or whatever you want to call him. And that's when she realized that's who he's talking about. Which again, she should have known.
And then she was like, "Oh yeah," and as
you say, she kept rubbing the back of her neck.
Yeah, and then she had them predator marks on
her. Which we don't know what the heck that. You were thinking it was some kind of an implant or something.
I think. Well, then she told Enoch. She says, "I felt so." Disillusioned or
confused when he wasn't there.
Correct.
Which is also why that when they initially couldn't find him, before he came pulling up in the car, she asked Coulson, said, "Hey, I can go, if you can give me his last known location, I can do a search for him." And he thought, you're just concerned about the 30,000-year-old robot, but she literally was kind of a self preservation thing. She was trying to figure out why she was having these issues since he wasn't there.
Right.
And apparently, when there were later conversation, he knew what was going on because he was going to lead her off to take care of her.
Explain or do or adjust something. I don't know.
And it must be something that she wasn't quite familiar with what was happening, because otherwise, if it was something that she had been told, you would think that she would know what the problem was, but she apparently didn't. And apparently it's something that Enoch can fix, but they haven't quite gotten to that yet. Because,
and I'm hoping that we find out that. Okay, let's move on, because I want to talk about this picture. So
okay, we're going to get to that in just a second.
Hurry! Why do we got to wait for all the things I want to talk about? I know we got to do it in order and all, but really, what I have to say is the most important.
Are you done?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now before we get to your famous picture, and we're going to have that debate, the whole point of this thing when they went back to the 70s is, of course, the Chronicons had told Coulson that if you don't give us Earth, it's been neat to this point, we're going to make it messy.
Right.
And basically, it's kind of like threatening, okay, we can start messing around with the timeline. Not like they haven't been trying already.
Right.
But in this case, how they messed with it is Wilfred Malik, who was supposed to have died in 1970, was still alive.
Didn't die.
Right. And because of that, they also instituted. Okay, do you remember Project Insight?
Yes, that's it. And that's where Coulson died. Actually,
no, actually, that was after.
I keep forgetting. This is Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is where they put the helicarriers or whatever they were up in the sky, and they had all those laser beams.
And what was their goal?
To kill everybody.
To kill
anybody who was a threat to Hydra.
And no matter if they were a child or whenever that was going to happen. Right. Okay, same thing now, except this time we're back in 1970, and they're going to use a satellite to do the job.
Correct.
But for the same purpose.
73.
They were in 1970. Well, no, actually it's 70. Yeah, it's 73. Correct. Right, because 76 is when it was activated.
Right.
Okay, so in 73 they're going to use this. They're going to do the same program. They're going to use the satellite to target individuals who were pose a threat including people like Nick Fury at the time, Peggy
Bruce
Carter,
Banner.
and Bruce Banner, which is what got Sky's attention when she broke into. That was another funny thing.
They broke into the back of the into the club, the sword, where they have to say sword.
Yeah, in the bar where originally Koenig had his little hiding place. In this case, Malik had all of his computer set up, and it was old 70s, ancient stuff. But for Sousa, ooh, high tech.
Right.
And it was funny because Daisy's in there looking at him like he's got 3 heads.
Yeah,
really?
Like, really? Then later on she shows them some real high tech. But anyway,
so she breaks into the system and she gets the list of all their targets, like I said, and that's where they see Nick Fury and Bruce Banner. And she says, he said, well, I don't know. Sousa's saying, well, I don't know who Bruce Banner is. He says, well, in a number of years, he becomes an Avenger. So, well, is that a good thing? I said, yeah, that's a good thing. But he's just a kid now. So he says, okay, so Project Insight is 40 years ahead of its time.
Right.
So they need to find a way to stop it. So they come up with a plan to do that. But before they can, suddenly they jump again. From 1973 to 1976, which is when the project was supposed to be completed.
Yeah, they said it would be ready in 3 years because they asked Stoner.
Yeah, General Stoner.
Right.
With Patrick
actually, he
Warburton.
didn't. May asked him.
Right.
And said, "Hey, when's he?" Because she was flirting with him.
Okay, so like when May shook Stoner's hand, I didn't get a good feel for what she got from him. I mean,
I think she got. I'm getting ready to knock this guy out. Because
no, that was later on.
Oh,
but when she first met him at the bar, she said that she was a HR, a person from HR, and was so impressed with how he, his professionalism. She shook his hand and then kind of leaned back a bit, looking at him, but I couldn't quite tell what she got from him. Now, if you asked Coulson, he was, and he probably is a, clear blue shield agent, but he's kind of doing the bidding of Hydra there, so I'm not sure.
Maybe he doesn't know.
And I'm assuming, because that was the whole point of the whole infiltration thing, is that people didn't know until it was too late, which is probably the case here. And of course, we know Malik is Hydra.
Right.
So anyway,
I don't know.
So they make the jump to 1976, which is when the system is ready to be launched. And Mac, of course, this is where Sousa had the issue because they made that unscheduled jump, and he didn't quite understand how come they didn't know why that happened and what caused it.
And Gemma seemed to be a little bit taken aback by his aggressiveness,
which was why,
of course, she was still in that weird
because that was right when
they were getting ready to walk and find out what was going on.
I think it was about ready to check her out when he came to her, and I thought it was kind of nice that Deke came to her defense.
Yeah,
and he had to protect his grandma.
Yeah,
right. And he talked about, hey, I gave up my time for this, and so we all did. We all got yanked out of time for this, so get over it.
Right.
And again, that's why I said you should have just told him, hey, we go wherever they go, and that's it.
Right.
So anyway, Mac decides what they're going to do because the launch site is in the lighthouse where the SHIELD team was basically had a base in present time.
Right.
So he said he's going to have Coulson and May set up charges, flood the lighthouse, which would stop the launch. And then he sent Deke and Yo-Yo to go see Malik and actually pick Malik up.
Right.
Because he hadn't quite decided what he's going to do with him, but they knew they were going to go get him.
And they knew that they couldn't have him out there doing any more damage.
Right. Okay, now, during their time when they were in the bar, Malik had brought along the Chronocoms, because, of course, the Chronocoms know everything, and they came up with their guns at Coulson and the whole team. And Daisy ended up grabbing Nathaniel, which is the youngest Malik's son. Now, he was supposed to have been dead, too. He's supposed to die the same year that Malik Sr. died.
Right.
And
on the planet.
Right. You're right. And if you remember back to that episode, they first showed the younger Malik, Gideon and Nathaniel, right when his father died, and right before they made their next little selection.
And they went to go see Whitehall then.
Yeah, went to go see Whitehall. So somewhere along the line, they prevented Nathaniel from going through the portal, off to the Hydro planet. So he's still alive, and like I said, they had held him hostage.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
we sure didn't see the other Malik there.
Well, yeah, you only saw him the first, not before.
Yeah, before they jumped.
Right, before they jumped the
But
3
after
years.
the jump, no.
Which is kind of
So
interesting.
now my question is, did they send the wrong Malik
Oh,
to the planet, and they sent the other Malik to the planet?
That's an interesting thing.
Well,
somewhere along the line between 1973 and 1976, Nathaniel developed some
cojones.
yeah, because he was basically sitting there drinking milk at the bar when they found him in 73.
And then all of a sudden,
now suddenly he's pulling weapons on
right,
people.
and I'm going to go see Whitehall.
Well, actually, he didn't even say, he said, I don't even want to see him. I just want good information.
I just need the detailed instructions on what to do next.
Yeah, how he somehow got people's powers away from him.
Yeah, as he cut up Daisy's mother.
Right. Well, yeah, that was Whitehall's gig. Which again, that's so it's all and it's all tied together like that. Okay. So anyway, so to do their plan, they had sent Daisy and Sousa to break into the lighthouse's cameras so they could kind of see where people were.
Right.
That is when, while they were doing it, that is when Daisy shows, number one, he was talking about, because Daisy had her laptop there, and he's going, well, the problem is, why we can't do this real quick is because that computer's too small. Of course, he's been looking at all that monster 70s stuff, thinking that was great.
Right.
Of course, that little laptop had probably 70 times the power of everything in that room.
Right.
And then, of course, then she showed him her phone. And I thought it was funny when she told him that only old people actually call people with this thing.
Yeah.
So she took she took a picture of him and then showed him how he could enlarge it with his fingers.
He was like, that's cool.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Right. And I think that was probably as much thing as for him is, again, he kept talking about why did you take me out of there? Well, if we didn't take you out of there, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why you want to go back and die so fast. But he was also a little sad, and this I understood, that he didn't get a chance to say goodbye to some of the people he cared about, which probably Peggy Carter would have been the one.
Don't worry, she's still alive till she's like 80.
Yeah,
so this is fine. He could go back right now and to say hi to her, and she could go pass out right in front of him as he walks up to her and says, "What the hell are you doing here?"
Which is kind of surprised she didn't do that when Steve walked up to her at the end of Endgame.
No, because she knew he was a super soldier.
I know, but she didn't know he was alive. She thought he died.
Well, he didn't. Okay.
Of course, and again, it all depends on what time he showed. And let's not get into that.
And besides, she was already mentally, she was already having some mental issues.
She was not.
Because she was old. She did. What are you?
I'm talking about when he went back in time to go dance.
Oh, I thought you meant when she was old.
Where'd you give her mental issues back then? She was fine.
When she was old.
I know she was old then, but I was talking about when he went back. Dang you. You gave the woman Alzheimer's before when she was 30. Come on.
Oh, you Steve. Okay.
Okay, stop.
All right,
stop getting us off track here. Okay, so
maybe it's me with the Alzheimer's. I'm not sure.
Okay, so they had their plan, and Daisy and Sousa were breaking into the system, and that's when young Nathaniel showed up with one of the Chronicon guns, shot him, threw him in a van, and took off with him. Okay, so they had the cameras available to them, but they no longer had Daisy to open doors and things for them. Right. So May and quick thing. So Coulson and May are in the lake house and they steal these guys' uniforms.
Right.
What's the first thing you mentioned?
As they're coming out of the room, the guys had tall socks on.
Yes. And
okay, tall socks just means athletic socks with the stripes on the top that go up to your knees that guys used to wear, that Martin had when I first met
Martin
him.
Still has those. I mean, tall socks make the man.
I know.
I'm still a believer in that.
So
I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. That was
bad. It still is bad.
That was the first thing you mentioned when they left out of the room. Was those guys wearing tall socks?
They got tall socks on. Perfect for 1970.
Okay, so they're in the lighthouse and they're need to get through a door, but of course Daisy's just been kidnapped, so they can't get through the door. So Mac sees General Stoner. So he said, okay, let's go see if we can get his ID pass to get through the door from him. So Coulson goes up to him and basically tells him, hey, we're being infiltrated by crazy robots taking over the, and of course he's asking questions. He's basically stringing Coulson along, but Coulson's thinking, I'm getting somewhere with him.
Right.
And so May just puts her hand on the guy's shoulder, Stoner's shoulder, and slugs him. And Coulson's going, what'd you do that for? I was getting somewhere with him. Said, well, he felt otherwise. So she takes his pass and they get in there and plant their explosives.
Right.
But in the meantime, while they're waiting to set the explosives off, Mac is looking through the cameras and sees his parents. We're getting ready to get to your point. Okay, so he sees his parents, and he knows that if they trigger the explosives and flood the lighthouse, his parents
are
will
going to die.
And we're assuming this is before Mac is born. So I mean, that
is
something for him to.
That's makes him old in present time. So I'm saying he's not born yet.
Right. So that would certainly make you pause about whether you wanted to have your parents dead before you were actually born.
For sure.
Okay, so because of that, he aborts the mission. In the meantime, Deke and Yo-Yo are going to Malik to pick up Malik. Well, before then, the head Chronicom, Luke, comes to Malik and tells him that our predictor, Sybil, has told us that the shield is coming to see you.
Right.
And we're going to give you this as leverage. And he gives an envelope.
Correct.
Okay, he says, and opens up the envelope and he says, well, why don't we just add these two people to the list for insight? He said, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to force S.H.I.E.L.D. to reveal themselves, and this will do that. So give this to them when they come. So here comes Deacon Yo-Yo, and they bust into the... Okay, so back up the truck a second. When Deacon Yo-Yo showed up, how'd they get there?
I have no idea.
You don't have any idea. You most certainly do. How did they get to his house?
How'd they get to Malik's house?
Eyes first.
Oh, they showed up in the jet.
They showed up in the Quinjet.
In the non-cloaked twin jet. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't know what you meant.
We discussed this before.
I know, but I thought, did they teletransport? I don't know. What do you mean? How'd they get there?
They arrived.
And use their legs and walk.
No, they flew the Quinjet next to the house, uncloaked, so he could sit out the window and watch them coming. Which I didn't assume that Max said, okay, I want you to go ahead and shoot off fireworks and let them know we're coming.
Well, I realized that, but that was pretty dumb. I'm not sure why they did that, but then again, I guess they didn't know he'd be looking out the window just hanging around like a...
Well, the launch was getting ready to happen,
and
he was positioned right to watch the launch. Okay, so they burst into the place and tell him that he's coming with them, and he says, no, I'm not. He said, but we do have a good place to watch the launch if you guys want to watch. I said, no, because S.H.I.E.L.D.'s shutting, Yo-Yo tells me, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s shutting it down. And he says, well, you guys don't understand what's going on because the Chronicoms have been ahead of you from the start.
Right.
And he basically breaks into the evil villain's monologue about how you have no chance, and they're 10 steps ahead of you, and we have this thing that you might want to see. And right then, Deke shoots him.
Right.
Which, of course, Yo-Yo's, what are you doing?
And he was like, okay, supposed to be dead anyway.
Yeah,
so
he said,
I'm not messing up any timeline.
Right,
here.
he says status quo.
Right.
And of course, he said, I bet you they didn't see that one coming.
Which I enjoyed.
So, of course, now Yo-Yo takes the envelope and opens up and looks at it and is surprised by what it is. Okay, here is our debate, because Kathy and I have been going back and forth about this since we saw it on Wednesday.
Exactly.
Who's in the picture?
Martin seems to think...
I know what Martin thinks. What do you think?
I think it could be Sousa and Daisy Johnson.
Okay.
And I think...
Okay, so why would you think that?
Well, because the Malik kid took them.
Right. So, I mean, do you think they knew what the Malik kid was doing? Did they instruct the Malik kid to take them?
Maybe, because I don't think the other guy's there anymore. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that we don't know about. I think that all. And my other thought is it might be Fitz. Might be in that.
Now, that I could possibly see.
But it's Fitz and someone else,
right,
because they said
person.
2 people.
Right. So would it be Fitz and Gemma?
It could be Fitz and Gemma, or it could be Fitz and Deke.
Okay, well, how could Deke be in the picture?
I don't know.
Okay, so here was my theory on this, and because it's so simple, Kathy can't wrap her hand around it.
No, and this is not happening. You should stop this stupid idea. Anyway, it's wrong.
Okay.
I don't believe it. It's not right. It's not right. It's just not right. I don't believe it.
Okay, so anyway, before I was
this is your
rudely interrupted.
Go ahead, tell everybody.
The whole point the Chronicon made was when he gave me the envelope and says, you will take this information and we will make S.H.I.E.L.D. reveal themselves. Basically saying that we will get them to act where we will know where the
because humans
Zephyr 1 is. Because
humans are too They don't care about the big picture as long as the people right around them are safe.
Right. So and
Basically.
they learned that from Malik
Right.
previously. Okay, so
Who basically sacrificed his daughter
well, no, he
to hide.
no, he didn't sacrifice his daughter.
Well, yes, he did.
No, he didn't
Not
want that to
him,
happen.
his son.
No, Gideon didn't want that to happen. Gideon loved his daughter. That was Hive's way of keeping Gideon in line, saying, okay, someone's going to pay for your crimes, and it's not going to be you, it's going to be your daughter. Why? Because you love your daughter, and that would hurt you more than if I just killed you.
Which he must have learned from the Chronicons from earlier. So
Right.
here we go.
But
his brother wasn't dead.
Okay,
And
so
I think that Gideon is dead.
okay, and
I think that what's his name?
we talking about the other brother,
Yeah, what's his name?
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel. I knew that, but I couldn't think of it.
Okay, so now getting back to my theory.
Yeah, but because it's so dumb, let's just go ahead and listen to it anyway.
All right. See, now you just. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mac at the lighthouse and said, he saw his parents were there, and he had to decide whether he's going to flood the place or kill his parents.
Right.
By choosing not to do so, he went ahead and decided to go after the satellite a different way, which was use the Zephyr to track it down and shoot it down.
Correct.
When he did that, he revealed their location, which is exactly what the Chronocoms wanted him to do. So then why could that picture not be of his parents? Now
because if the Chronocoms
right, okay, now
okay,
right?
I got three disputes.
Right, hold on, we might clear this up now, and this is something we discussed again. If supposedly Sybil the predictor knows so much, how come she didn't know if that was if say that was his parents in the picture? How come she didn't know that Mac would find out about that before the picture ever got looked at and do what they want him to? Why would they need the picture? Which tells you that Sybil doesn't really know anything as much as they say she does. She's just kind of probably pulling data out of a computer and just like doing prognosticate guesswork from the data she's got.
Here's the thing. Once you throw Deke into the mix, that messes up all kinds of predictors.
Why?
Because he's unpredictable. He's an unpredictable guy. And he's so unpredictable, which is why I'm telling you right now, they planned on them going to the launch site, putting those detonators in there. They planned on
no, when you say plan, you're talking about the Chronicons knew about that.
Yes, they knew that. They knew that that the director would he would see his parents
right
and stop the launch.
Right.
They knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
They expected that to happen.
Okay, so that's fine, and it did happen, but the picture that they gave to Malik was supposed to have done the same thing. So if they knew that Mac was going to do that, why did they need the picture to do the exact same thing?
I don't believe that they knew that they were going to get. I don't know that they knew that they would. I think that was just an insurance policy. His parents.
Okay, so
I think the original thought was whatever that picture was. So I just think that was an insurance policy in case something happened. Because I think that the Chronicons.
See, that would make more sense than for me. I mean, for them to say that Sybil knows everything, but not know what Mac was going to do outside of the picture that they showed. So I can see that as being a backup. But then again, that comes to the point again, if that's not his parents, who's the picture of?
And that's what I said. I'm telling you, it's either it's one of. I'm not sure what two people it is, but I know.
We know it's two people. We know that for a fact.
I feel like number one. I feel like one of those people is either Sousa or
Daisy.
Daisy. And the reason I think it's Sousa, and let me explain to you why I think it's Sousa and Daisy. I think that it's them because they knew that the Chronicons knew that obviously they knew Sousa got out of 1950.
I would assume so, yeah.
At that point.
Right. I mean, now the rest of history doesn't know it, but the Chronicons do.
Yes. And
I would assume.
And I think they think that they're gonna maybe hold that over his head. And who knows, maybe it's Sousa and Agent Carter. Who knows? because she's still alive. It's not like she's dead.
We'll tell you how much.
4, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got all kinds of thoughts.
No, say it tells you.
Maybe it's Bruce Banner. Maybe it's one of the people. Maybe it's one of the superheroes.
Maybe it's Stan Lee. Well, in this whole thing right now. But now it tells you how interested we were. We sat there and tried to freeze frame
yes,
that
we did.
picture.
And I'm telling you, I felt like it was somebody with dark hair, and it could have been Sousa. It could have been, and short dark hair, of course. It was a man picture. It was a picture of a man. It definitely was not.
You can
it
tell
would not
that.
have been Coulson.
You
It
can
would
tell
have
that
not
in the
been Mac.
glimpse.
Huh?
You can tell that in the glimpse you got.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So the fact of the matter is we don't know who's in the picture. But
I made up my own
right.
mind, and I'm telling you what, it isn't. It's not Coulson, and it's not Mac, because they're both bald on the head, and this person had hair. Number 1. Number 3.
Yeah.
From number 1 to number 3. But that's because I did Mac and okay.
And you're
number 3.
You're pounding on the table again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for everybody's ears.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You
point
basically
is-
made your
the point
opinion
is-
clear.
The point is you're wrong, I'm right. So no matter who it is, it ain't Mac's parents in that picture. The end.
Well, again,
That I'm certain of.
well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, we'll
Because-
see all right. And Wednesday's not going to get here fast enough, I can tell you that.
Okay. So, and as we've already said, that Mac decided that he would not flood. He told
Right,
May
he's not
and
gonna do it.
Coulson to abort.
Right.
And by doing so, though, not only did he give up the Zephyr's position,
Right.
he also let May and Coulson get captured at
Right.
the base.
Yeah,
And of
that's
course,
a whole nother
right. And of course,
And
they to get as far as they did, they had to knock General Stoner out. Now, if he's the head of Shield, that's not going to go over really well with the rest of the Shield agents, assuming that they are all Shield agents
Well,
and not Hydra agents.
and
So
there's a whole nother thing.
no,
right
I mean
there.
of the people that are in jeopardy, May and Coulson are probably the ones that are in the best position
Right.
because they can break their way out if they need to.
Right.
Not so much for Sousa and Daisy, especially because of the youngest Malik. Like I said, he was supposed to have been dead, but obviously he's got some issues of something, right?
Stoner?
No,
I mean,
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel is
who
what I meant.
captured the Daisy and Sousa, and as you said before, that he's trying to delve into some of the work that Daniel Whitehall did, and that doesn't bode well for Daisy, because you remember that Dr. Whitehall basically just butchered her mother,
Right, her mother.
to get what he could out of her. So, and I'm not sure why Nathaniel thinks he needs it. I'm not sure. Something, as you say, something happened between 73 and 76 for him to think that he needed.
And here's another option of who might be in that picture.
Oh, he went back to the picture
Yes,
again. Huh?
well, because this is a big deal.
Okay.
Because whoever these people are, they know where they are, and they can destroy them.
Well, that's again, if you wanted to do that, you would have just put them on the list for insight.
But they didn't.
They didn't because they said they wanted to draw them out.
Because Whitehall needs them. I'm now thinking maybe it's Daisy's parents, because they need Jia Yang for
Well, I don't know about
for Whitehall to survive.
I can see them being involved, of course, because now we're back in time, and that is a possibility. I'm not sure. Like I said, we're going to find out
And
here.
another thing, Whitehall found out he didn't have to do all that fancy dance and chop her up into bits after a while. He knew that later, right?
No, it's pretty much
Because all he needed was her DNA.
Oh, I don't know, because of course, remember he said, I forget exactly what his saying he kept repeating about was about requires experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have
That's
no
just
doubt that
'cause
he
was
enjoyed. He had no problem with butchering
sadistic
people.
Bastard.
Okay, so we got a problem with the youngest Malik and
Right.
Daisy and Sousa. May and Coulson have been captured at the lighthouse. Like I
Correct.
said, that's probably the people with the least amount of problem.
Right.
But then the Zephyr, now the Konokans know where it's at, so they're going to be trying to blast it out of the sky. And if you see the previews from next episode, apparently that's what they try to do.
But I don't think we did.
So we still got a bunch of questions, and mainly we don't have who.
Where's Fitz?
We still don't have Fitz,
I don't
and we're almost
understand.
halfway through, so he's got to show up sooner or later. You notice that little draw? You know, remember you showing the little art poster thing of them? You notice he's a tiny little guy in the right hand corner of that thing. So
No, I didn't
obviously he
notice
doesn't have a major role because they shoved him off into the side there, almost like with the copyright.
I think that they did that just. I think they did that just to make me more curiouser and curiouser.
I'm sure that's what they did. They thought, what can we do to disturb Kathy the most?
I knew that's what it was.
Well, anyway, that's pretty much what we got for Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge for this week. Next week, we got the 6th episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And who knows what's going to happen then. Maybe we'll find out who's in that envelope. And maybe we'll actually see Fitz here in the final 6 episodes.
Well, it has to happen. It has to happen. I need to know where he is. I need to know what's going on. Is he taking care of their baby? What's happening? Have they already had their baby? I don't know. Look like Predator. But anyway, I don't know, honey. I'm
just like you
confused
don't know
right
about
now.
who's in that picture.
Wow, I know it's not who you think it is.
Well,
That I'm sure
I
of.
guess we'll see. And I will be expecting an apology if that should happen. Yeah.
Tell you what, I will give you not only an apology, but I'll bow to you and
Well, you do that anyway. So.
true.
Okay.
Not really. But anyway, I think that whatever. Well, you know what? Let's wrap this up.
Okay, so
We got lots to talk about, and Wednesday's coming.
Right. So in the meantime, I am Martin,
And I am Kathy.
and we'll invite you back again on another Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge.
Bye.
Bye.
It's been our pleasure to present to you GVN's Martin and Kathy's Coffee Binge. We'll see you next time.